Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be all the books I read in January. Crazy. Am I a creep? Not to be a bitch. I'm annoyed with the writing of this book already. A tribute to 90s rom-coms. It's phenomenal. Guess what I gave this? 5 stars. This is our first pyramid wrap up of the year. I read 12 books in the month of January, so I kind of started off slow. I don't know if I wouldn't constitute it as like an actual slump. I just didn't want to read. Is that the definition of a reading slump? But I was just like, it wasn't that I wasn't reading at all. I was reading fanfic. So I was deep in a fanfic phase. I still am. I still read it every day, but that was the only thing I wanted to read. I read 5 romances, 1 fantasy, 1 sci-fi book, 2 classics, and then 3 general fiction / literary fiction books. So hopefully that math is adding up. But yeah, I mostly read on my Kindle, so I borrowed a lot of Libby books. So we don't really have that many physical copies. So good thing we have the pyramid. I think my overall like average rating for this month was pretty high. Like it's kind of crazy. Like I was reading some like mediocre books for a long time. Like they just never really like stuck with me too much. It says I read 4,070 pages. Don't know how accurate that is. So out of the 11 books that I rated, because I only have 11 on here because I don't rate graphic novels. Out of the 11 books I rated, we have an average of 3.75 stars, which is real high. I'm not gonna lie. There's one outlier, but we'll get to that. I guess we should just get started. I'm gonna do this real fast. Filmed my every book I read in 2024 like a week ago. I feel like I've like prepped myself to like start going faster with the reviews. My least favorite book that I read in the month of January was Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. Okay, this is a classic. I read this for my film and literature class, so that's why it's on here. It's like a novella. It's like less than 150 pages, probably like 100, and there's like the foreword and like everything like that. So basically 100 pages. It was just super duper boring. I didn't like the writing style. It was just super descriptive, and so Conrad, I think this is like 1890 something. This is about a guy in Free State of Congo, and he's a captain of a steam engine boat type of thing. He is going to find this illustrious ivory collector, killer person. So he's going to find him. And so it's just depicting his time trying to find him. I just didn't like the descriptions of the book. I think it was really hard to get through. I was just like, I don't care whatsoever. It's a book that's like very shining a light onto imperialism and like Europe and like colonialization of Africa and stuff like that. And so it talks about that. And so like I guess in a contemporary lens it's not very good nowadays, but like back then, if you're reading this for the first time, you're like, oh my god, didn't even know this was happening in the ivory industry, and like why Belgium is in Congo in the first place, and like why is Europe there. It does like shine a light on that, and I don't know, I just didn't really care for it. I gave it 1 star. Conrad just like, he depicted the native people of Congo and of Africa as horrible like descriptions of them, and I was just like, I'm not vibing with this at all. I don't know, I never really liked it. I gave it 1 star. That's the outlier. Everything else, pretty good ratings, guys, pretty good. So next we have Northwoods by Daniel Mason. I gave this one 3 stars. This is a literary fiction book about like this house in New England, so like Massachusetts, and it just takes you upon like different time periods of people like and their experiences with this house. And it's like I don't know if it's like, it's literary fiction. I don't know if it's like speculative fiction, magical realism type of thing, but it has like elements of that. It's just like this house in New England, like, and how people that interact with the house are like shaped by the house, I guess. It's not my favorite. I was pretty bored. I think the first story I was just like, okay, whatever. And then like it's always like different time periods where like you're following, and so like these people are loosely connected, and like you get insight to like how these are all connected. And so some of them are really interesting, some of them are really boring. I think the first like 20% I was like, what the hell am I reading? And just the fact like I just didn't click with it. And then I kind of got like more connected to the characters, and this is also during my I only want to read fanfic of characters that I already know and like I already love, so like I already have that connection. So that's why I was like in my fanfic phase, because I just wasn't connected to like any book character. So I was like, I need to read something of people that I'm already connected to. I wasn't really connected. I gave it 3 stars. Very fine book. Maybe if I was like in a different headspace and different like mindset, I would enjoy it a little bit more, but I liked the writing. It was fine. The whole reason this is like on my radar is just crazy. Am I a creep? The whole reason this is on my radar is because I was in Barnes & Noble, and so this person, they were talking to their friends, and they were like, should I get this book, Northwoods, or Song of Achilles? And so they were like, Northwoods sounds so cozy, and Song of Achilles sounds like so fun. Like I've heard so many good things about it. They ended up getting Song of Achilles. They put Northwoods back. I went to the book that they put back, and I was like, okay, what is this book? And so I read it, and then I added it to my want to read some Goodreads just because of that stranger. That's crazy. That's a crazy story. Yeah, that's all I have to say about it. What's it called? Northwoods? Yeah, I'm never gonna remember it, but it was a fine book. Next is Air by Sabar Tahir. I love Sabar Tahir's work. I love, where did I put it? Is it on the bookshelf? I don't know where it's at. Oh, right here. You can't see it. But I love the Ember and the Ashes quartet. I always forget that word, but I love that series. Air follows the same universe that and like world that ends in the quartet. I don't know if people are saying that you don't really need to read the quartet. You definitely have to. If you take one thing away from this, if you read Air by Sabar Tahir without reading the 4 other books in the series, that's just stupid. That's just stupid. I gave this one 3.25 stars. It was a 3.75 stars, and then I docked it down because I just don't really care for it that much. It was better than mediocre. This is set like 20 something years after what happens in the final book in the Ember and Ashes series. I think it's A Rapier Beyond the Gates, Sky Beyond the Storm. This happens 20 years after that, following like the kids of the main characters in those books. One's an orphan, one's an outcast, and one's a prince. A killer who grew up in the slums, A's. We follow her, and then we follow another one, Saoirse, who is a tracker who uses magic to find people, and then the prince. When I read that it follows multiple characters, I kind of forgot that like in the Ashes like follows 3 characters a lot. So I was like, how is this gonna work? I don't know why I was so like involved that this was gonna be like Six of Crows. It's definitely not. I just thought it was gonna go that way with the characters, but I think there was like a mid turning point that I was like, okay, and I was like, what is happening? And so I was so confused during this one part, and then it was like it then goes into the like reveal, and so I was like, oh, that makes sense. And so that really got me up. I was like, oh my god, I didn't see that coming. Oh my god, this is crazy. What's gonna happen next? One thing about both of these series, I don't think the threat in this one was as big as in Ember and the Ashes or like in other fantasy books. Maybe it's because it's YA fantasy, but like I was just like, I was never too like, oh my god, the world is gonna end. But I'm also not in the book. I'm also not living what these people are living, so maybe that's why. That's all. I liked 2 characters. I didn't really care for one, but then I was like also like, oh my god, this is crazy. I don't know how I feel about this book. I think I will continue with the series whenever the next one comes out, but I wasn't like too blown away. But it was really good still. So good job, Sabar Tahir. Next, we have Open Water by Kayla Azuma Nelson. This is also like a pretty short book. I think it's less than 160 pages, probably 150-ish. This is on my 24 books that I want to read in 2024. Also was Air. If you're keeping count, 2 out of the 25 books that I want to read in 2025. Oh, that's so embarrassing. Thought it was last year. This book, Open Water, is written in second person POV. So we're in the main guy character's POV, and it's always like, you feel this way, this is what happened, this happens to you. And so we're in the mind of our main character. That was really interesting. I feel like some people have like harder times with that. I'm a seasoned fanfic reader, so I never had a hard time. I didn't have a hard time, not to flex, but I gave this 3.5 stars. I liked it. It was fine. It was really short, that I wasn't just like, ooh, super duper connected, but I loved the way it was written with the second person POV, and then I also really loved the way that he wrote both of the main characters. So our female main character, she's a dancer, and she goes to school in like Scotland, Edinburgh. Our guy character, he lives in London, and so he is like dealing with being a black man in London. And so it really is like his experiences, his anxieties, his fears, his need to like close up and like not talk about any of his emotions, and that directly interferes with his relationship and friendship with our female character. The push and pull of it was good. Overall, I liked characters separately more than I craved their love. And so like I was fine with like if they weren't together. I guess that's like my point. I'm saying that like I eat my words, but like I still liked their relationship with each other. I just feel like it could have been, I don't know, something could have been umphed to make me like it more. I just think because it was so short, I couldn't bump it up to 4 stars. Next, we have The Favorites by Lane Fargo. I'm gonna tell you what I wrote. I gave this book 4 stars. First, I heard about this book from Emmy Rossum. I think that's how you pronounce her name. She is a booktuber here. She's also a book talker. I don't know if she's like concentrated as more as a book talker or more of a booktuber. I watch her on YouTube, and I don't watch her on TikTok because I don't really watch TikTokers that much anymore. I'm not saying like I don't watch TikTok. I'm on TikTok. I'm not in the book scene of TikTok as much as I am on YouTube. I heard about this from Emmy, and I marked it want to read, I don't know when, like 10 days ago. Apparently this is Magnolia Parks and Daisy Jones and the Six coded. Sign me up. Like what? That's exactly what I wrote. I said the marketing really got me. Whoever said that it was Daisy Jones and Six and Magnolia Park, they sunk their claws into me. Then I started reading the book like 3 days ago, and then I said, not to be a bitch, I'm annoyed with the writing of this book already. Some parts are written like a documentary and reads like a bad screenplay. I do not need to know that a picture edited into a fake documentary has a blurry image of the male main character when you zoom in watching the female main character. Okay, rant over it. It was never that big of a deal. And that was like 18 pages into the book, and I was just like, I'm over this already. And then I got into 22%, and I did another update, and I said kind of over it. And then I ate my words, and then I read the rest of the book. I'm still giving it 4 stars. It's not the best, it's not the worst. I don't think the writing was like super duper good. It wasn't like amazing, life-changing. Oh, and then I finally finished the book, and the ending review of that book was, "Cat's better than me, I'd be a bitter bitch forever." Like, what? So yeah, that's my whole thing. So basically our main character, Katarina, she is an ice dancer, and that's different from like figure skating. It's in the same like realm as figure skating, but it's a different like branch of figure skating. So she has a friend that she's always known since she was little, like 8 years old, and they've grew up together. They danced together since that point. Katarina is like in love with this ice dancer who won the Olympic gold, and so she wants to be exactly like Shayla. She's worked her whole life to get a gold medal, basically. And so it deals with that and like how she's always like focused on the gold. She's very Carrie Soto. This is my passion. I want to figure it out. Then her partner is like, I only really care about Kat. Like, she's like, I want her to love me, so I have to do this and help her get her dreams because I want her happy. That's the whole thing. They grow up, they go to an academy and take it a lot more seriously. They get into competitions and stuff like that. And it deals with like a documentary style of like what happens at these like pinnacle Olympic games that like makes or breaks their career, basically. I think the documentary, I could have done with less of it. It was just like such a bold choice to like interview horrible people for like as this thing. And so like I had some like reservations, like what's gonna happen. The ending caught me off guard, but like I don't know. I think up until like this 70% mark, I was like really annoyed with the cat, and I was like, okay, like I get it. She just really wants to win. She has a winner spirit. She sleeps, eats, and breathes ice dancing and like competition. Heath is the male main character, and I was like, at first I was like, okay, we get it. Like I feel bad for him. He really wants to be loved by this girl because he's an orphan and she's like the only family and like friends he has. I get where he's coming from. I get where she's coming from, but he should really recognize that. And then something happens, you know, some drama, but like it wasn't like craziest drama ever. So that's my review on that. So 4 stars. Next is Don't You Forget About Me by Vari McFarlane. I gave this one 4 stars. We have a lot of 4 stars. It's fine. It's my second favorite Vari McFarlane book, and so I've read Between Us and just last night. Our main character, Georgina, she was like really bright in high school, and so like she wasn't like super duper popular, but she wasn't a loser, and so she gets partnered with this guy for an English project. They hit it off. She's like in love with him. He's in love with her, basically. Something happens, and they stop talking forever. 10 years later, she is in and out of jobs. She never graduated university, so she's like a waitress. She's having a bunch of like talk back from her mom and her sister. It was like, you really need to get life together. Like, you can't just be a waitress forever. And she's like, what the hell, bro? Like, you're supposed to be on my side. What is this? She's like very conventionally attractive. And so I feel like there's a bunch of slut shaming on here, but whatever. She gets a job at this bar. Then the second owner is the same guy from high school, basically, that she's been in love with, and they had like a big falling out. She recognized him immediately, and then he doesn't remember her. And so she's like, what the hell, bro? And so it deals with that. Okay, the romance hit around like 60%. And so that's like a big chunk of Vari McFarlane's books. Like, they always hit pretty late in the book. I love the romance. It was really cute. I love Georgina, and I love like her like whole story arc. This one deals with like a crazy ex-boyfriend, and so he's a comedian, and so he is like cheating on Georgina, and so she leaves his ass, and then he just like keeps on like trying to get with her. And so yeah, there's that. That's the whole thing. Cute book. I just like the way Vari McFarlane writes, because it is very women's fiction. I feel like the first half of the book is always like her dealing with her stuff personally, and then the romance gets into it after she's like in a different mindset than she is in the beginning of the book. So I always like that. So next is James by Percival Everett. This is a Huck Finn reimagining, I guess. It's not like, is it a retelling or is it a reimagining? But basically we follow runaway slave that Huck Finn is like with in The Adventures of Huck Finn by, I think, not Thomas Edison. What is his name? Mark Twain. That's him. That's him. Okay. This is in the head of Jim / James. I liked it. I think it's way better than Huck Finn. I read Huck Finn in like 11th grade. So my like memory is kind of like foggy about Huck Finn. I also read the Spark Notes. I didn't read it. Yeah, I like James. This writing is super fast. I think this is like the second or first book that I read of the year, and I was like still in that fanfic slump, and so reading like really short chapters of like a really impactful character that I really enjoyed following was really good. It deals with Jim and his like whole like runaway story, and how the white people in his life view slaves in this time period, and like how they're just like they really adapt to surviving being as incompetent as the white people think they are. So I really enjoyed that part of the book. I think it's really special the way that Huck and Jim like interacted in this book. This one, it just like shed a new light on it. Really cute. I don't think it's like as heavy as like a lot of like other slavery books are, but it does talk about that. So yeah. I had one book that I didn't write, which was Heartstopper Volume 5. Still good. You know how I feel about the Heartstopper series. And so that's all I really have to say. It's really cute. I don't know why I thought that this book wasn't like talked about in the 3rd season of Heartstopper. So I'm curious to see how the rest of the seasons play out, because I don't think they've filmed the 4th season. I know that it's in the works. I'm assuming another graphic novel is coming out, but I enjoyed the story. You know how I feel about it. Heartstopper book 4 is still my favorite out of all the Heartstopper books, but enjoyed it a lot. Next is I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hartman. This is a sci-fi dystopian novel, and so basically we are following the youngest girl who's trapped in a bunker full of 39 other women. So 40 women in total in this bunker. They don't even interact with the guards that are around them. They don't talk to them. They just like give them their food and then they like stand outside. A lot of the women don't remember how or why they're in this bunker and everything like that. So an event happens, they leave the bunker, and so they live their life in the wilderness. In the back of your head, it's always like, why are they here? What is this place? Where are we? And everything like that. And how are they going to survive? Like, why are they out? So there's a bunch of unanswered questions. It's really eerie, and I liked that bit about it. So I also love this cover, this edition of the book. So, and I hate the other edition, so I do not want to buy a physical copy because I only want this edition of it. So yeah, that's besides the point. I enjoyed it. It's really short as well. It's like 200 something pages, but it was really fun. I liked it. I think the writing of it was really good. And this is like a translated novel as well. So like if your writing's good translated, you're a good writer. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Follow one main character and her like recounting of whatever happened to her. We like span across like a long time. And so it's like really interesting to see how everything develops, how they change after the bunker, how they change like even like in a week. Like a lot of the literary fiction girlies on TikTok, they love this book. Like this is like the thought daughter book. Next, I have The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary. Holy smokes. I remember this is like one of the OG like booktube book talk books in like 2021, 2022. People were raving about The Flat Share. I was always under the impression that people don't really like it. After that like wave of like people talking about this book, I was just like, okay, whatever. Like it was never that on my radar, but the cover is beautiful. The cover is beautiful. It's like the best romance book cover I've ever seen in my life. I love this book. 4.5 stars. It's super high in the pyramid. It was just amazing. It was just amazing. If I had the job to do this, I would make this book a tribute to 90s rom-coms. It's phenomenal. I think it would do so well. I think the concept is really cool. It's really cute. Oh my god, I actually love this book. There's like some things that like pushed it down to 4.5 instead of a 5. It's the perfect 90s rom-com. Someone needs to do it. Someone please do it. I would be on the production team. I would be a runner for that production. I would be like, whoever needs anything, I would get them water. I would go to the coffee shop for them. Like I would be a production runner for to be on the set of this movie. That's all I have to say. Someone please make this into a movie and hire me. The yearning, the notes, it's just phenomenal. Basically, we'll get into the thing. Tiffy and her long-term like rocky relationship boyfriend, they break up. So he's with another woman, and so she's like, I need to leave his apartment. She has like not like a dead-end job, but like she is a editor for like a publishing house. She doesn't get paid a lot. So she finds an advert in the newspaper about like a flat that is like £400 a month. Basically, this is a 1-bedroom flat. The guy renting it, Leon, he has a girlfriend, and so he just like needs the extra money. So he works at like a hospital. He's a nurse something. He is gone most nights, and so he sleeps in the morning basically. So when the whole arrangement is that Tiffy moves into this flat, they share the same like apartment, 1 bedroom, 1 bed, 1 room, 1 everything. And so she sleeps normal people hours, and so she goes to work at like 8 a.m. and then he comes back around that time and uses that until she comes back from work at like 7 8. They're never in this apartment at the same time. And like during the weekends, he's with his girlfriend and stuff like that. So you find out a reason why Leon needs the money. Tiffy and Leon aren't really friends. They just share the same apartment. And then they start leaving notes to each other. And then those notes help them learn more about each other. And there's also this yearning. They like kind of get to know each other through these notes. And then there's like 3 side plots actually. That's kind of crazy. There's 3 side plots of this book. Also, Tiffy, ex-boyfriend, don't know his name, he's psycho. And so the Flatshare and Don't You Forget About Me, those two are like, they're really similar. They're really similar in like the way that the ex-boyfriend is actually psychotic. The romance in here was super duper cute. I loved them both together. Yeah, make a 90s rom-com. Make a 90s rom-com with them. So that's all I have to say. 4.5 stars. Loved it. Next is Britt Marie Was Here by Fredrik Backman. Guess what I gave this? 5 stars. This is my 6th Fredrik Backman book. Like, I would rate the 3 Town books and that whole trilogy as one book. That's top. Even though I gave the 2nd and 3rd one 4.5 stars. This is next. After Town, this is my next favorite Fredrik Backman book, and then it would be Anxious People, which I also gave 5 stars, and then A Man Called Ove, which I gave 3 stars, but I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear about it. I'll reread it one day. Oh my god! Saw something on the cover that's so cute. Oh my god, I'm gonna cry again. But I cried during this book. I sobbed during this book. This feels really reminiscent of A Man Called Ove, and like the plot and like the dynamics between everybody. So basically, Britt Marie, she is like probably like 60s, 70s. She gets divorced from her husband, and so she's like, I don't know what to do. He was always in charge of the money. She'd never had a job since she was like a teenager, basically, or like early 20s. And so she goes to this temp agency, and then she's like, I need a job. She's very out of touch with like society nowadays, because she's like always cooped up at home, taking care of like the house. She's really lonely. Her husband and her husband's kids that are like her stepchildren, they just don't really like, they don't appreciate Britt Marie. I'm so sorry. So she goes off to this really small town. She's like the keeper of like the recreation center. She meets these kids that really just want to play soccer, and so their whole thing is like soccer. Like that's the sport of this book. She kind of gets like taken in by this family in Borg, which is the town. You see everyone in the town just like warming up to Britt Marie and how their whole dynamic changes. This one's so heartwarming. It's just so wholesome and beautiful and cute. That's why it reminds me of A Man Called Ove, and like the whole like town dynamic, and like an old woman that isn't appreciated gets appreciated in this town, and like her whole like dynamic for wanting a job is because she doesn't want to be lonely. She doesn't want to be lonely, and she's like super scared of death and like people forgetting about her. And so that's the whole like thing. It reminds me of Beartown in that aspect as well, like the sports, the town coming together. Just really beautiful and sweet and cute. 5 stars. I loved it. I cried so much. Yeah, every Fredrik Backman book literally makes me cry. It's like kind of crazy. I love this book. I was trying to find a physical copy of it because I always see Britt Marie. Like I feel like this one's not as popular as all his other works. Like I don't hear it talked about a lot, but I think it's amazing, like all of his other works. And so you're wondering, if this is 5 stars, what's at the top? Last but not least, my favorite book that I read in January, which was A Tree Grows in Brooklyn by Betty Smith. I don't know what's constituted as a classic. This came out in the 40s. It was a book that was printed in paperback, like really small, like mass market paperbacks for soldiers overseas and stuff like that. So I'm gonna tell you, this book is really about nothing. It's just a coming of age novel of our main character named Francie. She is like 11 living in Brooklyn. We deal with her like growing up in Brooklyn. She's grown up in like 1912. So like there's not a lot of resources. Her family's super duper poor, and it deals with like themes of like poverty, being a woman and a girl in a big city and stuff like that. And so like there is like mature themes of like sexual assault and everything like that. Basically, Francie, she's an 11-year-old. She has a younger brother, Neely, and her mom, she works as a cleaner for like a bunch of tenement housing. Her mom is like the breadwinner of the family. Her dad is like a like singer, musician type of person who's a drunk. So it deals with that, and it deals with like a bunch of like the family dynamics and like how she's raised and like how she has to like step up to the plate when it's time. And so it deals with a lot of that family, but I think the family in here was just like super sweet. Francie, she isn't, and she is like a bunch of like heroines in like a lot of like the older classic literature. People compare her to like Jo March, and so she is like Jo March in the fact that she loves a good story, she loves literature, she loves writing, and that's like her whole like arc for like half of the book. But like she's also different because like I read it in a review or like the foreword of like the book. She is like Anne of Green Gables. She is like Jo March, but like instead of like the glamorized version of Jo March, because her family's poor, living in Civil War Massachusetts, Francie is poor. Like she is like scrounging up junk to sell for pennies at the junk market, basically. And so I love the voice of Francie, and I loved her so much, and I love her dynamic with Neely. Really sweet. It reminded me of me and my brother, and then just like the whole family of like Francie wanting to take education seriously and stuff like that. And so it was just amazing. My favorite book. Like, I didn't think I would like it as much because everyone's like, yeah, this is basically about nothing. It really is basically about nothing. But if you don't connect to Francie and if you don't like really care for her, you just don't really care. But like, I loved it so much. I went to sleep and I thought about this book when I was asleep. Like, it was crazy because I loved Francie so much. She wasn't like anything else I read in like a coming of age, like young girl novel in a while. Like, she's just so different from everyone else, so I loved her. I also love the setting of this. This is in Brooklyn, and so it just deals with like how Francie, she loves the idealized version of Brooklyn. She loves Brooklyn with all her heart. She's like a Brooklyn girl, and I love Brooklyn too. Steve Rogers and Bucky Barnes. Oh, I also have to show you. This is a rant. I'm done with all the book reviews, so if you want to like skip off of this video, that's it. I don't have like a Disney Plus membership and I refuse to get one. When I do want to watch my favorite Marvel movies, I just never have the time. I've been trying to find like just movies and like physical media prints of like all my favorite movies. Yesterday I found The Avengers, the first Avengers. Love the first Avengers. I have had this one. I got this one a couple months ago. I have Captain America the Winter Soldier. Love, you know how I feel about that. And then I have Captain America the First Avenger. I'm so excited. So I have some Marvel movies. I've been on the lookout for 10 Things I Hate About You, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, She's the Man, all those ones that are my favorite like rom-coms. That's all I have to say. Because I'm sick of getting 4 different subscriptions to different streaming services. I hate it. I'm so mad. Like, everyone's like, oh, we need to start our physical media stash. I'm like, yeah, we do. I need this. So yeah, keep your DVD player if you have one and go find some DVDs. So that's it. That's all I have to say. Those are the 12 books I read in January. My reading goal for this year is 125. We're skating by. It's always like you're on track, you're 1 book ahead, you're 1 book behind, and I'm stressed out. Hopefully we make it, but if we don't, I'm not gonna beat myself up about it. I will probably change it if I don't because I'm just like that one person. I will change it from 125 to 100. So be on the lookout for that and I'll keep you updated if I'm still on track. But right now I am 2 books ahead of schedule, and that's probably because I read really short books. So we'll see how we are next month. So hopefully I got everything, and I'm gonna try and like actually write reviews on Goodreads so you guys can see them. So follow me on Goodreads if you want to see more like in-depth thoughts about it, because sometimes my brain is whole scrambled in here. Sometimes I forget about the really important parts of the book. So if you want to read those reviews on Goodreads and just see my updates on the books I'm reading, follow me on Goodreads. It's down in the description below. And if you want to see more behind the scenes of me, follow me on Instagram and TikTok. That's all I have to say. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this pyramid wrap up. And this is the first one of the year. Hopefully we make it 12 for 12. Don't know if that's possible, but we'll try. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Like the video, comment on the video if you want to. I love talking to you guys. And subscribe if you haven't already, if you want to see more of me and see more of my mediocre thoughts on books. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!